but he was also employed by the Emperor, so he may have information pertinent to us being able to defeat the Emperor.
The Grand Master gives him a look up and down and turns to look at you, and he says, I'll take him below the Shadow Tower, where we'll interrogate him. If he knows anything, he will tell us. Join me there at your leisure. I'm sure you're eager for some rest. Maybe we can get answers out of him together, since he was attacking your kin. And the Shade Grandmaster with that will, flanked by several Shade agents, take the Hobgoblin commander and, escort him across the castle grounds till there's a tower on the eastern edge of the castle grounds, and that leads into the Shadow Tower. And as he walks away, Gradius, you hear him say to the Hobgoblin commander, you won't be so tough in the presence of Cerberus.
Oh, shit.
And with that, they just walk off. So I'm going to put him over here because he's going to the Shadow Tower. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. We're on the record now. All right, so you return to the Citadel, hand over the Hobgoblin commander to the Shade Grandmaster, and are ushered inside the Citadel. You go through the first floor. You're informed that the king is above in his solar, which is like the king's office. And that he is expecting you. So with that, you're taken to the upper level of the Citadel here, which is where we are. And unfortunately, I forgot to put some stuff in the room. So you know,
they're storage closets.
Yeah, these rooms are closed off, and you don't actually know what's in them yet. So just ignore that.
Yeah, they're just storage closets. It's fine.
All right, so let's see. Who is it that would escort you? It would be the king's advisor, Harwin. And Harwin is an old man at this point. Probably in his mid-60s at least. And yes, he tells you all this about the king being above in the upper level of the Citadel, and that he is expecting you, and he's taking visitors in his private chambers. So with that, Harwin will leave you guys, and I guess he would escort you through. I don't have an old man token. I'll get one. What the fuck? They don't have any tokens for when you type in grandpa? We'll just use this one. All right. So, Gradius, you were invited to dine with the airship crew, and Savik, you were going to meet with the king with, there he is, with the Archmage and Archdruid. Galandan, what do you wish to do?
I'd like to drink moon water and show everyone my moonwalk.
Well, right now you're just in the foyer of the upper levels, so there aren't too many people around. You might have to go somewhere with more people.
So we're with the king's advisor. Was that the grandpa token?
He's more like advisor's not the right word. He's more like the king's attendant.
Attendant.
Yeah. Like instead of like a handmaiden, he's like there to wait on the king, and he's like a butler.
He's my new best friend, and I'm gonna make some talk with him and gain his trust with my speech skills.
Okay. Well, what would you like to know about him?
Well, I want to tell him he's doing a great job. and try to lead the conversation in a way that he might divulge information on the king or something like that.
I gotcha. Well, he says, I appreciate your confidence in my abilities, Master Elf. And as he speaks, his head kind of bobs a little bit the way that old men tend to do. And as you speak, he begins sort of leading you through the upper level of the citadel. So he's going to take you out here, and there's a hallway here with two large adorned double doors, and he's going to open those up. Despite his old age, he's able to open these doors like a beast. He walks into this other room. And he says here, His Grace tells me that you had quite a perilous journey through the Northern Passage.
Well, yeah, it was quite perilous, and getting to your age is also is quite admirable. I mean, you're touching the lower echelons of elven adulthood. So there's a certain amount of respect, that might command. You come to know the wisdom that is blocked off from. Dude, I have hair in my mouth. From the youth or the younger generation of men.
He grins at you and he says, "You're too kind." He says, "Attending to His Grace gives me time to remain fit. As you can imagine, one has to remain in shape to walk the halls of such a massive castle." And he says, "The needs of the crown, of course, are my duty to attend to. And I have been serving the royal family since before King Alatar was even born. I served his father and his grandfather when I began." He says, "I'm an old man now with no children." You kind of got him here to the point to where he's ready to talk. He's an older guy, so he's going to start talking your ear off. He says, I have no children of my own, although my nephew, Lord Bruce, has done well by our family." He points at the crest on his badge, on his badge of office, and he you notice he wears an older crest, a black dragon on a field of yellow. And maybe if you want to know more about that, you can, yes, correct, if you can roll a history check.
Oh boy, well, history, huh? History. I will.
Oh, I got you, Grace. 15's good. You recognize that as the old sigil of House Wainwright from ancient days. He says,
Isn't that the old sigil of House Wainwright from ancient days?
He nods at you and smiles. He says, aye. He says, I have a habit of wearing our old house sigil. He says, my nephew Bruce has adopted the bat as his own sigil now. He says, I'm not sure why one would choose a bat over the lineage of our house, which, if you're not familiar there, young man, or young elf, I should say, catches himself. He says, my ancestors killed the great dragon Rauros during the Elder Dragon crisis.
Oh, man, I'm just eating it all up.
Maybe he changed it to a bat, so that way he wouldn't have to be scared of cable repairmen.
Oh my God, that's a deep cut. That's a lord deep cut. Holy shit. That's like the 7th layer of being a PD. Oh my God. Nice. All right. So as there's a lull in your conversation, you notice, is anybody else with them walking through the citadel? He's leading you to meet with His Grace. So anybody that's going to meet with the king.
Oh, I want to ask him I want to get some secrets about His Grace. The stuff that's off limits for the public.
Harwin looks at you and
tell him he's it sounds like you've been here for such a long time. You might even be closer to the heart and spirit of Kingsguard than the king himself.
He shakes his head. He says, I wouldn't go as far as saying that. He says, King Varn was a polarizing figure in this kingdom, raising taxes to build the port of Andor and all. And then there was the setting sun crisis and the famine before that. And he says, but in his heart, he was a good man. And he led the Dawn Wardens north to fight against the giants and to protect the dwarves. After signing the pact, it breaks an old man's heart to hear him spoken of in such negative ways amongst the folk of the realm, as if they do not understand his sacrifices. To give his life in defense of the realm, what more could he give? And then his son to come to power at such a young age. It was very hard for him coming to power after the loss of his father at the age of 15. Most boys his age are out chasing tavern wenches or the like, and he had to take over the control of the realm. And then there is the matter of Prince Aiden. He says, his voice trails off. He shakes his head as he mentions the name.
Well, such is the way of men. So what's his grace? I don't know. Do you have anything that I could garner from this guy as to? I don't know what I'm looking for. I just want to I'm just kind of being opportunistic in terms of,
I gotcha.
Does he have any, I don't know if it'd be like political woes? Does he have any secrets? Anything in the closet?
Are you looking for current events? You're looking for information on current events?
It sounds more to me like he's looking for something that he can blackmail the king with.
Oh.
That, or maybe he had it could be blackmail. It doesn't necessarily have to be something sinister.
Extortion.
But it could be extortion, but not necessarily extortion.
Oh, man.
It could just be like he doesn't want everyone to know his favorite color is pink, or or that embarrassing thing he said to so and so the other day, and hope that doesn't get out. He was just, just kind of anything really.
For a little gossip. Okay, all right, I got you.
Gossip or whatnot.
Okay. Two things. Savik, the Archmage, and the Archdruid are. You notice them walking ahead, past Gallandan and Harwin.
Okay.
They make for the other end of the hall, and he gets to about here and turns back towards you and motions you rather hurriedly to keep up with him.
All right.
And then, Dave, let me read this real quick, and then I'll tell you about some gossip. So, something else you would have noticed as you stepped into this room. As you step into this grand chamber in the upper level of the citadel, your eyes are immediately drawn to the colossal orb at its center. The orb dominates the room. It's a magnificent sphere of polished crystal that seemed almost too vast to comprehend. Its sheer size and presence alone are awe-inspiring, filling you with a sense of wonder and trepidation. Savik, you recognize this as a potent magical object.
All right. Can I go ahead and roll an Arcana check on it?
Yes, and you also notice that some of your colleagues from the Arcane Citadel or the Arcane University are here, casting magic upon this structure. Yeah, you can get I'll give you a charge of inspiration, but you got to keep track of it.
It's okay. Let me open up my character sheet.
Oh, fuck off. All right, 15 is good. Savik, you recognize this as the famed Mythalar. And your colleagues from the Arcane University are casting spells into the Mythal. And within you can see it's almost like light and shadows are dancing and pulsating from within. So the Mythalar rests upon an ornate stand carved with intricate runes of different schools of magic. The stand itself appears to be a marvel, the curves and patterns flowing seamlessly into the massive spear above, as if the base and the spear were a single unified creation. The orb itself emits a bright pulsating light, casting an ethereal glow across the chamber. The light is not constant. It ebbs and flows like the gentle rhythm of a heartbeat, bathing the room in otherworldly luminescence. Shadows dance within the orb and play upon its surface, their shapes shifting and morphing endlessly. You can almost make out figures within the shadows, perhaps echoes of the past or manifestations of raw magic itself are contained within. Drawing closer, you can feel, oh shit, hold on. You can feel the hum of power emanating from within the Mythalar. Its palpable force tingles against your skin, makes the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. The air around the orb itself seems charged with energy, and every breath you take is filled with a faint electric taste. You feel a deep connection to a vast well of magic within this object. You can sense potential, countless enchantments and spells that have already been poured into such a device. The magnitude of the magic stored within this object seems almost overwhelming for one wizard to comprehend. And then just a little bit of history reminder, this was a gift from Oranax to King Isilcred back in his day. And Oranax informed the king that he would need this someday. His ancestors would need this in someday. So these mages are working on enchanting the Mythalar, and so the Archmage and the Archdruid continue on their way up here towards the stairs. Galandan, going back to your conversation, I will say that Harwin will share with you that the king is troubled by the assassination of the Timorian diplomat Vuliev Zado of Karlovar. And he worries over the impact of trade, not only trade relations, but diplomatic relations with the Timorians and the Timorian Trade Consortium. He has mentioned being concerned about with this war looming, potentially needing to bankroll it through the TTC, needing funds. And then, of course, he mentions that the theft of the people's gold from the Bank of Kingsgarden is also a troubling affair that the crown had to cover out of the treasury on the eve of war. So, yeah, the king has many private worries that he shares not with the people of the kingdom. And there's more to that, but you might have to chat with Harwin a bit more and establish a little bit of a better relationship for more information, more intimate information.
That's great. Can I ask a direct question?
Sure.
What's the king's biggest fear since he was a child? The spiders?
No. There's nothing of that sort. He says, I know his grace very well. I believe.
Well, you can tell me. I'm the perfect guest here. I'm handsome, charming, and handsome. I make a persuasion check if I need to get something.
Yeah, go ahead. Persuasion, charisma, whatever.
I got it geared up here.
25. All right.
What's his childhood fear?
Harwin looks at his feet for a few moments before he answers, and he tells you, oh, okay, see you, Gradius. Thanks for coming, buddy. I'll let you know what else happens.
You did.
Sounds good. Have a good night, guys.
Later, buddy. Yeah, you too. Harwin will tell you that he believes the king's greatest fear, other than the loss of his family, would be to fail the legacy of his father. He looks at you. He gives you an earnest look. He looks into your eyes and he asks you. He said, "How would you feel if your father rode to war and promised to return and didn't come back at all?" Or no, he came back, but the manner in which he returned was not one in which he could even see his son could even see his body. He lives in the shadow of his father.
That would make me want to become a vampire.
Harwin gives you a strange look and shrugs. He says, "Well, then I would imagine some vampire hunters would come and try to kill you, Master Elf." He turns and nods towards the stairs and says, "Let us be off." The king awaits. So if you want, you can go up these stairs and that'll take you to the third level, which is the royal apartment, which is all this stuff here. And I'm gonna say we're gonna move these guys up here. Ah, fuck, I forgot to put the king up here. Whoops. Oh, no, I didn't. He's here. Was the wrong area. You go up here and the king would be in his solar.
Oh, no.
Here it is, motherfucker. Savik, do you go with the Archdruid and the Archmage?
Yes.
All right, so you come up here and they walk down the hall, and the Archdruid looks at you and he says, "I'll report to the king first." Or no, I'm sorry, the Archmage looks at you and says he'll report to the king first. He says, "But you should tell them what you saw as well, so that he can, there can be no doubt to the validity of our report."
Okay.
And I need to read something. You reach the end of the hall here, and two guards, armored head to toe in plate armor, stand before the king's doorway. There are also two guards. There are multiple guards in this hallway. This is a very heavily guarded part of the citadel. Where is the thing I'm looking for? Sorry, boys. Give me 1 sec. Here we go. So you reach the doors of the king's solar and are stopped by the guard standing before the door. His Grace is currently indisposed with with a visitor. Or no, he would say with his chief advisor. And the Archmage wraps the staff of his floor, wraps the end of his staff upon the floor, and he says, "We must see his Grace with all urgency." And the guard, nonplussed, holds up a hand to the Archmage, and he says he will wait until his Grace is finished speaking with his advisor. He points to, there's a series of benches that aren't illustrated here, but he says, "Please have a seat." His Grace is indisposed. Let me see. Gallandan and Savik, if you go closer, you might be able to hear some of the conversation that the king is having. So make perception checks to see if you can actively listen.
All right.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that.
Can I get Nocturne to listen in on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I think it's 22.
Nice. 22 is good.
15.
15 is good too. All right. So you guys move up here and are waiting outside of the solar, and the king's door is not shut the whole way. Within, you can hear fire crackling merrily in the hearth, and King Alatar is in conversation. Whoever he's speaking to, this is a little long, so here's what you hear. You can sort of catch him in the middle of conversation. He says, Second Army has lost a quarter of its strength. The Northern Passage remains unguarded, and its commander sits in disgrace below us in the royal apartment. Who commands? A gruffer voice replies. King answers, I've ordered Field Marshal Lightfoot to assume command of Second Army. He's seasoned, a veteran of the last war, as you know. The voice responds, Second Army will need strong leadership to overcome the betrayal of their commander. What of First Army? The king responds, Sir Hector Arreston has been promoted to Field Marshal. And not quickly enough. He says, to the south, the Dragonborn Emperor sows discord. We face invasion from all sides. Tamorians are rightfully outraged at the death of their diplomat from Zeltenia. King sighs heavily. The voice replies, Take heart, young Alatar. He responds in a reassuring tone. You are the blood of old Aurelia, the son of kings. Every king before you has faced a great challenge and risen to meet it. Their strength flows in your blood. Strength to conquer, to lead with the sword and defend with the shield. The blessed bloodline, as you know. The king replies, Is that your advice, your grace? It is the advice I have given all your forefathers back to the beginning. Be vigilant. The night is darkest before the dawn. Your greatest challenge lies before you, and I have brought you a gift. There's a lull in the conversation, and then the speaker resumes. Should the walls of this city be breached, the old wall can still defend the city. You know of which I speak, the preparations of your forefathers. The old wall still stands, King Alatar replies. Thank you, Lord. We remain within the city. You can hear some chairs being shuffling around within the room. No, I have business in the north that I must attend to. Enemies abound, King Alatar. Continue to gather your strength. Lure the enemy in and make your stand within the walls of the city. Should they fall, know that the old wall will rise to her defense. I'll return at the turn of the next moon. Until then, farewell, Lord King. There's silence within the room, and then after a few moments, you can hear the king call out to his guards. Next. Or something along the lines of bring in my next visitor. To which the guards stand aside, leaving the door open. The king will see you now, they say.
I look at the guard, and as I go in, I say, I'm just here for the money. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, give me a sec.
Oh, okay.
All right, so the Archmage, the Archdruid, and Savik, are you going into the...
Yep.
All right, I need to change my music real quick. All right, so you enter into the room to find the king seated behind a large ornate desk. A map of the kingdom sprawled out before him. And if you zoom in, that is a map of Talos on the...
I see that.
On his desk. Yeah, so he's got a map of the entire continent spread out before him, and there are these little, he's got little markers all over the place to marking, no doubt, troop locations and things of the like. And as you enter, he looks up at you, and when he sees the Archmage and the Archdruid enter, he nods at both of them. And then Savik, when you and Galandan walk in, you see a bit of a smile crest his face, and he says, I am glad to see that you've returned safely. What news do you bring from the north?
Well, you look like I'm gonna kind of pick up from the last conversation. He's like, well, you look like you could cheer up a little bit.
You do notice that the king's face seems a little long and drawn. His face is weathered with. It seems as though he's aged quite a bit since you've seen him last, and he looks as though he has not been sleeping. It's also not lost on you with your perception check that he's got 2/3 of a bottle of wine consumed from the bottle that is on his desk.
I know just what he needs. I'm gonna tell him a joke. This will solve his problems.
By all means, perhaps you can liven our spirits. He sits back and takes a pull of his wine.
Okay. I clear my throat and I stand up. And I look like I know exactly what I'm gonna say. What do you call a pig that does karate?
He looks at everyone in the room. I don't know what Savik does, but the other three sort of glance around unsure. I'm not sure. What do you call a pig that does karate? King answers.
A pork chop.
That's pretty good. I mean, you got a real laugh out of me for that one. So I'll say the king laughs a little bit. He gives you a little chuckle. So he chuckles and he raises his glass towards you and he says, "Forgive me. Can I offer any of you wine?" He says, "It's a good vintage, Tamorian Sweet Red."
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose the grapes were basking in the light of the moon before they
Okay.
got pressed, so I will oblige.
Excellent. So, he fetches you a goblet and pours you some wine. And I don't know if Savik or any of the others want, but the Archmage will decline. And he leans heavily on his staff and he says, "Sire, we have news that we must discuss. It's quite urgent."
Yeah, I'm also gonna decline in the wine. Wine decline.
Wine decline. The king sets his goblet down on his desk and leans back in his chair and crosses his arm and he says, "Please go on." Cyrenus, the Archmage, will begin. He starts by explaining to the king how they arrived at Dune Craigadum and saved the dwarves, and that the dwarves and the Anvil Breakers mercenary company have agreed to fight for the crown in the upcoming battle, and that they should arrive at the city within the 10-day. So in the next 10 to 12 days, they'll arrive within King's Garden, ready to fight for the king, in which the king seems to breathe a sigh of relief. Cyrenus then goes on to regale how you successfully recovered the weapon, and the king leans forward at that as if you've got his whole attention. He says, "Truly, you've recovered the weapon." He looks at you, Savik, for confirmation.
I'm gonna go ahead and acknowledge and shake my head yes, and I'm gonna get a little tongue in cheek too, and I'm gonna reply with, assuming that is that someone just didn't lift it off the dragon wing right now.
The king, he sort of raises his eyebrows in alarm and looks towards Alexandros, who raises the hand and he says, "Not to worry. The weapon will be stored safely below until we're ready for its use." He continues on. The king will ask what happened to what of Cedric Vipern. You said he had died, but do you know anything more than that?
I'm gonna reply and say, before we found Cedric Viperin's workshop, we found him lying there lifeless in his keep, unbeknownst to what actually happened to him. We found him dead. However, upon our return, we did manage to recover and take to bring a bit of him along in attempts to go visit the clerics in King's Garden to resurrect him so he can continue his work. Since the our traveling companion keeps coming in and out.
Yeah. Well, the king will nod solemnly at that. When you say about resurrecting Cedric, he looks up at you and you see a little spark of hope in his eyes. And he said that could be just the ticket that we need. And he said, who better to repair the missing components of the weapon than the man that created it? Go and see and he points at a map of the city and the temple district. He says, go here, seek out the Order of the King's Hospitallers. They should be able to take care of that. Their Grand Master will certainly be able to resurrect Cedric. You should be able to find him at the Temple of Tyr or the Church of Oranax. If you can't find him, let me know. I'll summon him. And as the king finishes with that, Cyrenius goes on to explain that by the time they had brought the weapon out of the keep, the Imperial Second Legion of the Empire had made their way inside, and that Galandan, he turns and points to you, Galandan. He says, this elf beat their commander in single combat to secure the weapon. And the king turns his attention towards you, Galandan, and he holds his gaze upon you for a second, and he says, you have my thanks. Let us discuss your reward for such valiant duty at the conclusion of this meeting. He then turns back to Cyrenius and asks, this commander allowed you to take the weapon? And Cyrenius scratches his beard and says, he did not appear without honor. The terms he set were fair, and he honored them even though he lost the duel. They had both strength and numerical advantage against us, and could have easily reneged on their deal, but did not. King nods. Perhaps the gods are with us after all. What other news do you bring? To which the Archmage turns and looks at you, Savik, and nods. Sire, we bring grave tidings. And he looks at you, Savik, as if to continue his report.
All right. As you well have known, on the airship, I tried to contact you via the Sending Stone to fill you in a little bit with what the Archmage and I have witnessed via clairvoyance. The city of Ashenport has been basically turned into a desolate wasteland, simply cut out craters of meteorites that fell to the earth as the Emperor himself opened up the skies to rain meteors down on what remained of Ashenport. But before that, he engaged with necromancy and removed the souls of those that were captive and transported all those souls into a Warforged.
The king stares down at the map of the continent and shakes his head at, seems lost in thought. He looks up at you and He says the entire populace of Ashenport turned into slaves for his army. And the city of Ashenport itself destroyed. In one attack, one spell, he was able to do this?
Yes, although this seemed to be, yes, the necromancy spell that he used to channel the souls of, the souls of the captured of Ashenport into the Warforged. Yes, it did seem like it was a single spell. However, from the looks of it, the staff that he wields is the reason that he can open up the heavens to rain meteors down.
The Archmage chimes in and confirms. He says, "Yes, sire, we believe that his staff is the source of this devastating power." And the king remains quiet for a few moments, and then he speaks. He says, "So without his staff, he would not be able to commit such atrocities." The Archmage clears his throat and he says, "That's correct, sire," and then goes on. He says, "There is one other matter, perhaps not of pressing importance yet, but could be in the near future. There was a Warforged Colossus that the Emperor used the souls of his captive prisoners to power. Before my spell ended abruptly, we saw the Colossus turn and march off to the west. It would need to bypass the Ash Mountains, but there is a chance that it may find its way into the south." And the king says nothing for a while, and he says, "Well, all we can do is be prepared for that eventuality, Archmage. How go your preparations with the Mythalar barrier?" And the Archmage then goes on to explain that the preparations for the barrier go well. It is, the housing is within the keep. Where are my notes on this? Sorry, 1 second. He says, "I have many of my colleagues at the Arcane University working all throughout the night and day, casting spells and donating magical items to the barrier so that when it's ready, we can deploy its power to protect the city." And he looks at you, Savik and Galandan. "However, we are in need of more magic items. Spell slots will suffice if you do not have a magic item." So he goes on to say that the meta knowledge with the Mythalar to power it would be that the spell slot level counts as an item number. So a third level spell would count as 3 items. The rarity of an item also affects that number as well, right? So a common item counts as 1, uncommon counts as 3, rare items count as 5, very rare count as 10, legendary count as 20, so on and so forth. And then as you donate these spell slots and these items, that increases the barrier of the Mythalar once deployed. So it pretty much has the potential to turn this into like a Dalaran-esque sort of deal where they're protected by a magical barrier. So he goes on to explain that to the king, and he says, "I believe we have time yet, but my subordinates are working day and night to make the Mythalar operational." And he says, "I can't speak for what our friends here have brought from their return journey, but I'm sure they also have some magical items they could part with." And after he finishes his report, the king listens attentively, and nods his approval. He says, "Well, keep me apprised of the situation." And the Archdruid will then, go on to corroborate many of the events here and explain how they crossed the Ash Mountains quickly using, he repeatedly cast Gust of Wind, and that he feels compelled to return to the west and to check on the Circle of the Gilded Acorn to see how things are going there. And the king says, the king will nod his assent. He says, but we need to discuss. We need to discuss current events and how things are going to play out in the coming days on the eve of this invasion. And he says, so you have my leave to leave the city, though not for another 2 days. And the king will stand and tells you that he's going to summon everyone in this room and all of his advisors to a council of war tomorrow. We will meet with the other lords of the realm to discuss next steps on the eve of this invasion by the Empire. So there's going to be a war council tomorrow that the king would like you to attend. He says the situation here is tenuous at best. He says to the south, the Dragonborn have closed. And he says in Kingsgarden, the Dragonborn have closed their embassy and recalled their ambassadors. I reached out to Emperor Voldrak Ironscale, who assures me all is well, but well, I'll explain the rest tomorrow. I need to speak with the Shade Grand Master. He looks around the room at each of you and he says, do you have anything further to report?
Is that for all of us?
Yeah, he looks at everybody in the room and asks if you have anything further to report.
No, but I would like to make a motion to build the moon tower.
The king reaches forth and grabs his cup of wine and he says, what is the moon tower?
Well, we face a crucial moment in the history of Kingsgarden. A beautiful city, incredible city, is under threat from invaders. And let me tell you, we need to act, and we'd act now. We're going to build a big, beautiful moon tower.
Oh my God.
And when I say big, I mean big. It will be so tall, so magnificent. It will be the envy of every city in the land. People will come here just to look at the tower and look at it and go see where it is. They will say, wow, that is one big, beautiful tower. And folks, this moon tower will be moon-like. It will glow with the soft, serene light of the moon, casting a protective glow all over Kingsgarden. Its beauty will be otherworldly, earthreal, and it will look as it was created by the very moon itself. But it doesn't stop there. This tower will be so gracefully elven. Picture this: delicate, intricate designs, elegant arches, and spires that reach towards the moon. It will have the elegance and grace of elven craftsmanship, making it not just a tower, but a masterpiece. We're going to need to use the best materials,
Oh,
the finest craftsmanship, and the most advanced technology to build this tower. And on and on and on.
well,
Thank you,
yeah.
and God bless the city of Kingsgarden.
Oh my gosh. The king listens to your proposal. Do you say it just like that?
Yeah.
Do you say, okay. He says, if you're looking for real estate, Master Elf, that is no problem. He says, however, how tall would you build this tower?
It'll be so tall that if we put one more staircase, you would be able to just walk right up onto the moon itself.
The king says, well, Respectfully, Master Elf, you have to understand I can't have a private citizen's residence be bigger than my own.
It won't be bigger. It'll just be taller. I'm just imploring the idea that we're gonna find ourselves in a dire situation, and now would be the time to fortify away and our defenses in a way that the enemy does not expect. Think about the fear it'll strike when they are from afar and they just see this towering spiral looking right back at them as they approach.
Give me a persuasion check.
Even if he doesn't agree to this, I just want to kind of seed the idea.
Well, listen, I will tell you, you can absolutely do it. You can absolutely start construction on a tower of your own. Let's see how you roll, and then I'll tell you the rest.
Okay.
You're just trying to persuade the king to go for it, you know?
Okay, well, I get it.
Okay, 12 is okay. It's an okay roll. The king seems open to your suggestion. He says the following. He says, when you return on the morrow for the war council, I will have my chief engineer from the Dawn Wardens here. He oversees all the constructions within King's Garden. You can speak with him about your project. Since you were the one that recovered the arcane cannon, the crown will give you a discount on services rendered for construction. Not too deep of a discount on the eve of war, but I feel that you'll be made whole on and on. You can discuss the specifics with my chief engineer about layout and height and cost of materials, and we will go from there. And he gives you a slight smile and he says, does this please you?
Yes, Master, it pleases us greatly.
Oh my God. He says, very good. On the morrow then, you'll meet with the head of the engineer corps and begin discussion on how to build your moon tower. Have you thought of where you would site it in the city?
Oh, yes. If I could just say, whatever Ric Flair would say right now is where we would put it. Okay? It's going to be on the biggest hill, on the biggest part of town. Onward and onward. Onward and upward.
And King nods. He says, we have available plots of land in the different districts and quarters. As you're not a veteran as of yet and have not served officially in the King's Army, we would not be able to allow you to build in the military quarter. But we may be able to waive that requirement. Let's wait and see what the engineers have to say. So basically, he's going to set you up to talk to the head of the Army Engineering Corps in the morning.
Sounds good.
He says, well, my lords, if that is all, I must be abed, and we have much to discuss in the morning.
I got a blue raspberry snow cone.
Oh, yeah? You have that right now, for real?
Yeah, and in game.
You have a snow cone for real?
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. That sounds so good.
Really? It's blue raspberry.
Oh, man. It sounds so
I got it from Dollar General.
Wow, they sell snow cones at your Dollar General?
It's in a bag, you know? You wouldn't think.
Oh, I got you.
I'm sure it's super healthy. We're gonna eat it right now though.
That sounds really good. Unless you guys have something else to discuss with the king, it's pretty much being like, I'll talk to you in the morning.
Yeah, I have one more thing that I want to mention to the king, and it's about the.
Okay.
It's about I'm currently being pretty much a. I'm a wanted.
Mm,
I'm a wanted man, and I'm going to explain to him a little bit more about uh, the thorn wastes and the artifact that I am supposedly in possession of. So if there's any creepy guys that show up, I just want to let him know that there's a reason for that. And I will be starting to address this issue as soon as I return to my quarters in the at the Arcane University.
The king listens intently to what you have to say, and as you finish speaking, he looks up at the Archmage, who clasps a hand on your shoulder, and he says, "Not to worry, sire. We will." Between the three of us, and he points to the Archdruid, he says, between the three of us, we should be able to ascertain the validity of this threat and what threat it may pose to the kingdom. We will be able to report more in the morning. The king says, very well. Expect a report first thing on the morrow. He looks at you, David, and
You
nods.
said ass.
He says, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Should this become an issue for the army, doubtless they can use the combat experience on the eve of battle. And he looks at the Archmage and he says, I leave it to you, Cyrenius. Settle this before it becomes a greater issue. He nods and says, of course, your grace.
I can't wait to go to this war meeting and talk about the snow cone and pretzel stands that are going to go up in the tower.
They're going to be like, what the fuck? Who is this guy? Oh, no, but this is just the dude that recovered the weapon. Like,
Oh my god.
all right. If you have nothing else to say to the king, then you're gonna be ushered out, and the meeting will be at an end. So, War Council tomorrow. Lot to discuss. Do you guys have anything more to say to the king? Or are you ready for a little cut?
No, I just I'm not disappointed, but I was like, I got this information on him and I don't know what to use it for yet, but we'll
Well,
get there, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you have some time because there's going to be there's going to be a council of war tomorrow, and maybe I'm sure Harwin will be close at hand to attend to the king.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. Well, if you're leaving the king's staller later that night, it begins to rain. There's a heavy driving rain that falls over the city. The king was alone in his staller, studying maps and troop deployments late into the night. Outside the citadel, a clash of thunder followed the sounds of heavy rain. He'd nearly finished the bottle of Tamorian Sweet Red, leaned back heavily in his chair and rubbed his eyes. The fire crackled slowly in the hearth. He stared at it for a long while as his thoughts drifted back to that day, 25 years ago. The capital was a bustle of activity. Thousands of blue banners held high. their men assembled, awaiting their king. His father had mustered the Dawnwarden army to begin the great march north to the dwarven fortress of Adekin. Tens of thousands of soldiers had come to Kingsgarden, answering the call of their king. The vanguard had left days before, intent on reaching the stronghold of Harrowmont as quickly as possible. It's the king's duty to lead from the front. He could hear his father's voice as clear as it was yesterday. There in his father's chambers, watching as he was fitted into his armor, King Varn was a giant of a man, greater than 6 feet tall. Even in his late 40s, he was as strong as ever. He slung his greatsword over his shoulder and clapped the scabbard into place. The sword was nearly as wide as a man's hand, at least 5 feet long. Father is strong, Alatar remembered, watching him. He fights easily enough with his sword. The kings of Auralis had always led from the front, and it had been the downfall of several throughout their history. He'll be fine, Alatar thought, shaking the thought away. He'll be fine. That'll be all, thank you, Harwin, the king said. The squire bowed and left the room hurriedly. Just a young man. When they were alone, his father turned suddenly and took his son within his arms in a deep embrace. A great hug. Geez, that makes it sound like they were making out or something. His father turned suddenly and took him in his arms in a crushing hug. And he remembered the hug they shared and how his father held on longer than he normally would. After a moment, he moved his son back to arm's length, placing a hand upon his shoulder. He knelt down and looked Alatar in the eyes and bade him one last command. Look after your mother, and especially your brother. He is young and will not understand. Yes, father, Alatar answered, but the truth was, he didn't understand it either. At least not yet. Fear not, my son, his father said reassuredly. I will return. We will have victory in the north. The dwarves are stout fighters. I promise you, I'll return. The fireplace drew his gaze, pulled him from the memory as he stared off into the crackling flames. He reached for his goblet and drank slowly as he pulled from the well of his memories that often comes when a man is deep in his cups. He could see his father from the Citadel's balcony. One last smile and wave as he turned and spurred his horse northwards at the head of the army. His father's promise echoed in his mind. I will return. We will have victory in the north. I promise you, I'll return. The sharp pain of regret shot through his chest as he remembered his father's promise, his brother's lifeless body, and the bloody day of his coronation. I thought you would come back. Alatar whispered. His breath was a trembling whisper as tears began streaming down his face. You promised. I tried to save them all, he said, as his shoulders rising and falling with every sob. I tried.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. This fucking cutscene night. Shitload of cutscenes tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that this would be a really good, poignant place to call it.
All right.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
I think that this is going to set up the next session really, really well, and to end it on this sort of somber, tragic note is kind of good. So I think we'll call it here. The big thing for the next session is going to be the War Council the next day. Savik, you and the Archmage and the Archdruid are going to try and find a solution to your bounty problem. Gradius needs to check in with the Shade Grandmaster and his interrogation of the Hobgoblin Commander. So those are the big three, and then we'll go from there. So if you guys have anything else over the course of this week, just message me or whatever. Savik, we can talk about it on Friday. But yeah, I think we're in a good place to launch the next chapter. I would say this effectively rounds out Act 2.
Okay.
I would say. So at least for this phase of the campaign, Act 2.
Oh, nice. That sounds like a level up to me.
No, come on now. Don't be like that.
I don't know how to erase my character sheet. Too
What do you
late.
mean? Why? No, stop it.
I wrote the thing in. I can't scribble it out now.
I know how. I know how you can do that.
Oh. Struggle is real. Ah, man, I wrote all the new abilities in already.
Yeah, I bet you did. Oh, damn. Oh, no.
I wrote Archer of the Moon as my third level class thing. Oh no.
Oh, no. Oh, no. What are you going to do?
Oh shit. I don't feel play right.
Yeah, but if you try and play with a character that's over leveled, you're going to have a hard time.
When's the new next patch come in? I have to wait a while for them to fix
You
that.
guys literally just leveled up not long ago.
Yeah, I feel like my cats when they're about to eat, they act like they haven't had anything to eat in forever. Like, oh man, we're so hungry. We're still hungry. Feed us more.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Luna gets like that, but I mean, like, I don't know. She gains weight so easy because she's so small.
Well, you're lucky she's just, excuse me, if you had like another dog or two dogs, that shit just gets, like, if you just have one pet, their feeding is really easy, but as soon as you have more in there, it just goes to hell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm often watching like dog sitting for other members of the family, and I usually just feed the other dog in one of the bathrooms or the back room because, Luna's a little
Oh,
sneaky,
yeah.
and she'll come back and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna eat the rest of your food and then go back and eat mine."
Something happened where I have to leave my bowl, but you're eating your bowl. I gotta go check on that. I guess like you got the right amount of food. It always just seems like they have an excuse or something every single day. But we just got like a robotic cat litter thing.
Oh, nice. Do you have to
But-
scoop the poop still, or like does it go into the
No,
thing? or-
dude. Well, it's still they do their business and then it just like dumps their waste in a trash bag in the bottom. And
Wow.
when it tells you when it's ready to change, so you pull it out and then you just do the drawstring and throw it away.
It does it with like the urine cakes or whatever too? Because
Yeah, it gets all of that.
Nice. That's legit. I would say that's definitely worth the money.
If they just jump in there or whatever and don't do anything and jump out, I think I'm not sure if it would do it. I haven't had it long enough, but it might do the flippy thing, but nothing would come out.
Yeah.
But they're still getting used to it. I think I think it's kind of a little challenging. But they're just used to boxes and stuff. So
I got
But
you.
we've had it for a couple of days, so hopefully it's good. But yeah, I was up that.
Nice. Well, yeah, I would say that's definitely worth the money. Dave, some things for your Moon Tower proposal. How many, like, how big are each of the floors? I presume the floors are going to be the same size on their way up. So I need to know just a rough estimation of room size, how many stories, how thick the walls will be, so I can sort of look at this guide here for building materials.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just for example, let's say a baron slaps down a 500 gold deed on a fortified tower. It's 5 stories tall with outer walls 20 feet long that run, let's see, 20 feet long, runs to 100 blocks for the tower walls. So something like that would be 4,500 gold pieces to be built. If you had if you had a medium-sized house, and that's only 5 stories, right? But if you had a medium-sized house, that adds 2,000 more gold pieces. And with the 500 gold piece deed on this property, that adds up to about $7,000. Jesus, sorry, 7,000 gold total.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna really try to push the envelope of how big this thing can be.
That would be like that would just be like your standard run of the mill like wizard tower. 5-story tower, certain amount of stone, there's a house attached, 7K. So if you want to get fancier than that and you want it like, again, it says, having lived in a cramped tower for years, the wizard decides on spacious 20 by 20 feet room sizes with 5 stories and a 2-story house attached. Those tower walls will be 5 feet thick. So that'll give you some rough idea of what that is for 7,000 gold piece. So if you want to get a little fancier than that, which I'm sure you do, it'll be a little bit more. So just give me some idea. It doesn't have to be precise or anything. Just give me some sort of idea as to how you want to do it. So there's a pretty cool guide I got here. Yeah. This
20 by 20 is a good start.
This blog is called The Things We Do for XP. So, but yeah, man, I mean, we can definitely do it. I just need to know, and I don't want to have to just pull it out of my ass on the fly, So.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You want a little okay.
Yeah, like
I'll work on that.
When you're talking to, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Just brainstorming. But when you're talking to this Army engineer guy, I want him to be able to spit out like, oh yeah, we can do that for.
Okay, but from a role play, I'll do that from a player point of view, but from a character point of view, I kind of want this to be. I'm gonna talk about snow cones.
Okay.
In the work, it's.
Sure.
I'm thinking about going in that. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can role play it however you want. I just want to have some idea of what he's going to say the cost is, so I don't have to do all the calculations on the fly.
Okay.
But if you don't have time to do it, it's not a big deal. But if you get a couple minutes to just jot down, well, if I was making this, what would it look like?
I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be a fun thing to do. So
I'll do it. Don't worry.
But yeah, man, I think this is a really good spot to wrap it up for the evening, and we'll pick it up here next time. I know there wasn't any kind of combat or anything, but there was a ton of combat in the previous sessions, and this is sort of a catch-up sort of deal. Catch up on world events.
How much money would you spend on a graphics card if you kind of don't want a graphic? You want a graphics card, but you don't really want to spend a lot of money on it?
I would look for a 970 because that's what I'm still using, and I can play almost anything. I would look for that. It's got to be.
Is that NVIDIA?
Yeah, NVIDIA 970. I forget exactly what it is. But I'm still using it. I can play almost anything I want. Yeah, so it's a GTX. Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, GTX 970, 4 gigabytes.
Their whole
So I would say get that unless I would say look for that unless the next available upgrade is cheaper. But I see them here on eBay for going for like $70, which is very realistic.
Okay.
I mean, above that, you might be able to get a new card, but honestly, dude, have you seen the size of graphics cards now?
They're like 7
they're like
gigabytes
holding this one from 2008.
Dude, they're like the length of your forearm. No bullshit. It's crazy. If I wanted to add a new card to my rig, I'd either have to Well, I just have to figure out a new layout for my rig because I don't know if it would fit. You know, I'd have to. It's just I don't know, and I have a big ass case, so. But I would look
What do you
for.
think? AMD, Nvidia, or what's the other one?
I've always used Nvidia, but that's just me. I mean,
Radeon.
yeah, Radeon's the other one. Yeah, I mean, you have to have a certain part of your motherboard that's compatible, right? Like,
I
am I
don't know.
wrong?
I'm just on mine. I'm just kind of leaning more towards lower power consumption, and I don't have
Yeah,
to
dude.
worry about that.
Then I would try and find a 970 for cheap. Dude, check out the Facebook Marketplace. Check out the Facebook Marketplace. No bullshit. That's a great resource. And to tell you the truth, I don't think they can't, that's an old ass card, man. They shouldn't be more than like $120, I would say. They should be cheaper than that, but you never know with people. So I would check that. It's a good card. Like I said, I'm still using that to this day, and I can play. I can play anything I want without issue. I don't play that. I don't.
What
play any games.
year did that card come out at? I almost feel like talking about the years makes more sense because they have
like
random numbers.
2014.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have it open. Let's see. What was the release date? You know, I don't know, but I bet John and Brandon know. So I will ask them and find out. But yeah, I had a different card in here that I upgraded a couple years ago to the 970, which is definitely an old card. I was talking to Brandon Hoover though, and he uses the same thing. He's like, I don't need to upgrade. He's like, I can run anything, which I kind of respect because I feel the same way. Like I could upgrade, but I don't necessarily need to, why, so.
Well, also the trend is they've sort of are hitting recently they've hit sort of a limit. Like if you look at as far as the processing power goes, if you look at the 90 to the 2000s up until about last couple of years ago, it's kind of tapering off a little bit until they come up with some new crazy thing. Because first they just added cores and.
Well, yeah, but I think the thing that also drove the price up was that they were using them for fucking like cryptocurrency mining. Yeah, coin mining. Yeah. And now a lot of places have really cracked down on that, so. I mean, the prices of cards like 2 years ago were absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So it's good that it's trending down, the other way, but.
Yeah, I really don't know what to get, but.
Well, I would say, like I said, I'm using a 970 and I can run anything. So if you can get something better than that, yeah, do it if the price is right. But at the same time, like you got to make sure you have the real estate in your case for it. Because that's the other thing. Like you'd hate to buy something and then need to get a new case and move everything over and build it all again. Like, so.
Yeah, but I don't care if my thing doesn't even close.
Sure, but you don't want to be right. You don't. Yeah, but you're not going to be able to. The card still has to attach to your motherboard, right? So it's got to get in there.
I think it just barely fit this big ass old graphic card.
Okay.
I mean, it was a struggle to put that in there, but I got it in there, and I think it's about. I don't know. I'm measuring it from my elbow. It's maybe like 2 inches from my wrist.
Gotcha.
From the tape, from going straight up, so it's not short.
Well, I mean, I'll take a look tomorrow. I usually browse the Facebook Marketplace.
I'm on Amazon right now. 970. I don't really see it. Well, here's one for 123. That's too
not
much.
bad. No, I don't think so. I mean, but let me look at the marketplace. You might be able to get one for cheaper that somebody's just trying to offload. Where is the marketplace? Dude, guess what I did for lunch today?
Panda Express.
Nope, I went to Giant over my lunch. Lynn had a vet appointment, so I came home and dropped her off, and I was like, I remembered they have that like grab and go sushi for half off on Wednesdays. So I went
Oh.
down there and I mean, it's just like the cold, like California rolls and like shrimp rolls and stuff like that. But I went down there and I got two of those. They were $10 a piece. They were $5 today. So I got two things of sushi for $10.
Yeah.
That's what I ate for lunch and dinner. It was great. That's the only way I could afford to eat sushi every day. Like,
Put that next to your kimchi and rice.
oh, dude, you know, I picked up a thing of burgers too, and I was thinking about just throwing it on top of some burgers. Do you think that would be good?
Kimchi. Well, you've had kimchi before, right?
No, I have not. No, I
Okay.
think you guys were
Okay.
recommending it, or I think maybe Wes, you were recommending it, so I grabbed it.
Yeah,
It's
I would
tasted-
say I think it might be okay on burgers, but if you have like tuna steak or something like that, and throw it on top of
Throw it
that.
on that.
Yeah,
It's really good on fish.
yeah.
I usually treat it like a side. I just like put it on the side and then eat it. It's kind of like it almost had like a vinegary.
Oh, it was you and Nick were
It's
talking
fermented.
about it, right? Yeah, you guys were saying it's like sauerkraut. It's like Korean sauerkraut.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
spicier sauerkraut.
yeah.
Oh
it's
hell
spicy
yeah! Well, I got
sauerkraut.
the mild because I like spicy stuff, but I didn't know how spicy it was going to be. So I'm going to try the mild, and we'll see.
I
Dave, I'm
haven't
gonna
had a
send you
kimchi
couple
that was too
options here.
spicy.
Oh, dude, Wes was telling me you guys go to this really good Korean barbecue spot.
Korean barbecue.
I've
Or-
also,
Or do you mean the Thai restaurant? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know, man. I've also really, here's a GTX 570 for $40 in Shippensburg.
Yeah, well, it might be good. Keep in mind, I'm going from no graphics card to a graphics.
I'm just sending you a bunch of them, and you can just check them out.
Okay. I appreciate
I also, here's a GeForce 6 series. I'm not really sure what that is. It's only $20. I'm just gonna send it. I also, dude, I went to freaking 4 grocery stores the other week trying to find butter chicken sauce because like I bought all the ingredients to make butter chicken and could not find the fucking sauce, which I guess is okay because I've never had it. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there is that Indian restaurant in Chambersburg.
It's got to butter your own chicken.
No, it's like
You
it's
know
like
what the funny
Indian
thing is?
food,
There's
bro.
hardly any butter in it. It's mostly other stuff. I made it one time. It's just like, is there
Is it
really
good?
butter in this? No, not really. There's like a normal amount of butter, and then they just picked one ingredient at random, and it happened to be butter, and that's what they called it.
Is it good though?
Yeah, it's good. No
I mean, I
bulk you
figured
up. I mean,
I'd get it to try making it, and then you know, I can't find the sauce anywhere. The crazy thing is, I went to Giant and I was like, "Hey man, do you know?" I went to the guy and I was like, "Do you know where I can get butter chicken sauce?" And the guy just looked at me and was like, "No," and just went back to what he was doing. Like, no offer to help me look or anything. So I was like, "Man,
so
know they're not-
there. Am I free to leave?
I know they're not paying you much,
Might
but come
be
on, bro. Like,
paying
you know, like, blink twice if you're
Customer
in."
service is the best these days.
Dude, it's trash. I mean, I know they're not paying him too much, but come on.
I guess what I got done watching
What's that?
all of the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Oh, no way. I've never seen those.
Same.
They're good?
They're pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Just watch the first one. The first one will so good. Pretty funny.
Well, yeah, I'll check that out. I
My
have.
favorite is the Master Uwe. He's a turtle.
Yeah, and I think they have a really good voice cast.
Oh yeah. They get. I watched all of them. So they get Jack Black is the panda. A bunch of other famous people, and then Bryan Cranston comes in there at some point. Not on the first one though.
Bryan
they get him.
Cranston's in it?
Yeah, he's in Kung Fu Panda.
That's funny.
Uh,
Well, I just finished watching the Righteous Gemstones, which I thought was pretty good. It's probably funnier if you're not if you're not watching like 4 or 5 episodes at a time. Because I was like, okay, but
too much.
it's
quick.
I don't know. I just think the comedy would lend itself to being watched week over week. Instead of like binging it. It's kind of like, it reminds me more of like a problem of the week kind of show, which I really enjoyed, but at the same time was kind of annoying in parts because I was like, there aren't really any stakes. But man, Walton Goggins is so fucking funny in that show. It's crazy. Like, he plays a 65-year-old man.
Oh, okay.
And they're just they're like televangelist grifters. So the worst people you know.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this.
But still pretty funny. And then I have been watching House of the Dragon, which I'm glad Kyle didn't say anything because I don't know if Wes told you about last weekend, but man, we were fucking hammered drunk. I mean, Nick came over and we ended up drinking a shitload.
Okay.
I mean, it worked out, it worked out okay. But yeah, we were very drunk, extremely drunk. Usually I get up and Wes is out of here by like 8:15. I walked out at 9:30 and homie was still sleeping on the couch. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh, you're talking about AM. Never mind.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the next morning. Yeah.
PM,
No, the next
drinking,
morning. No. No, we're talking about the next day, bro. So it was just like, that was one for the books. And, but yeah, anyway, my point is that we started to watch House of the Dragon. I looked over and we're 10 minutes in. Wes is sleeping. I look over, Nick's fucking sleeping. I was like, I'm going to bed before I end up sleeping in a weird position. Like, so.
Dude, it was like
Okay.
it was 2:45 in the morning, and we were just
Yeah, it was
starting
super
House of the
late.
Dragon.
Super late. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. You should have seen all the Dominoes we ordered, bro.
Oh, dude, we crushed it.
That was a straight up feast. It was like we were very drunk by the time we ordered.
It was 2 orders of wings, pepperoni cheesy bread, and 2 pizzas. And the 3 of us just crushed it.
Just feasted. There was like.
Did you get it early, or did you get really? Or did you get kind of drunk and then just be like, we gotta get a fuck ton of food?
Well, around 10:30, Wes brought up how Pizza Man was closing, so we were like, all right, well, let's order from Pizza Man. Like, that sounds good. And I looked up their hours, and they close at 11. So I was like, fuck, I don't want to be that guy. They're probably like cleaning the kitchen and shit right now. So. Like, and it's their last weekend open, so I'm not going to be like, so.
Well, is it the last weekend they're open, or are they transferring?
Those owners, there's new owners coming,
Okay.
Which I'm sure it'll be just as good. But I didn't want to be super rude, and so anyway, all of like the mom and pop pizza places are closing at 11, but not Domino's, bro. Domino's is like, you're drunk and I'm here for you. So. Yeah, I got on the app. We ordered 2 pizzas, The first pizza had ranch sauce, cheese, chicken, and bacon, which is usually Wes's go-to. And then I always get ranch sauce, cheese, chicken, and mushrooms. So we got those two pizzas. We ordered 2 things of wings. We got honey barbecue and sweet mango habanero. And let me tell you, I watched Nick fucking house 8 of those mango habanero wings like they were nothing in like 5 minutes.
8 of them.
Yeah, 8 of them. And we got the 212s, I think. And yeah, then we got pepperoni cheese bread, which is the real hero of this situation. Because you eat
Damn.
that, that's like hitting the reset button on your drinking night.
When did Domino's close?
Like 2 a.m. I mean, listen, if I had them coming out like super late, I always tip pretty well unless the service is bad. Plus, like these guys just whipped out $30 like it was nothing. And I was like, all right, well, we're gonna get a shitload of food then. Like,
Okay.
so
You know what? I still would have ordered from Pizza Man. You know what I would have got?
Oh my god, I still would have ordered. He said,
I would have called them like 15 minutes before they're gonna leave, and then I was gonna order 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 tacos, 55 pies, 55 cups, 100 pizzas. I can't finish it.
please let me go. Please let me go. I'm doing something.
100 meatballs, 100 coffee.
The guy pulls up. He's like, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for it. Fuck is the matter with
Pay
you?
it forward. You have to.
I love whenever he drives through the first part of the drive-through and that car's about to go, and he's like, "Please let me go! Please let me go! I'm doing something. I gotta do something. Let me go!" Oh my
She
god!
tries to get in on it. She sees what he's doing.
So funny. Oh my god! So goddamn funny. I saw an interview that he did where he was like, "Yeah, most of the sketches on I Think You Should Leave were just things that I proposed when I was on SNL, and they said no." He ended up making. I think that is the. As funny as that show is sober, dude. Imagine watching that show while you're high.
I thought of a comedy. I thought of a sketch. It's you get into a cab and then Michael Jackson is your cab driver,
Oh no!
and he spends 99% of his hands not on the wheel. He's like, "Do you mind if we?" You don't know it's him, and then he's like, "You want to listen to some tunes?"
Yeah.
He puts on some Michael Jackson music. It's either Michael Jackson or a Michael Jackson lookalike.
Well, it would have to,
basically busting moves.
I mean, it would have to be a Michael Jackson lookalike at this point, right? Like,
Well, yeah, I know, but like for the sketch, it would be something. I don't know. Maybe it would be funny if it was Michael Jackson, because then it's like, oh, he died, he faked his death, and what became a cab driver.
that would, yeah.
That might be the play.
That reminds me of that. You know, it reminds me of that sketch from what is that movie where they sing Scotty Doesn't Know and he goes to Europe to meet the girl? Is that Euro Trip or something? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know that one.
I got the internet right here. Scotty Doesn't Know. Matt Damon is in that movie as the front man. Euro Trip, the movie, yeah. They're going through like a tunnel on the train in some part of Europe, and this man comes in, and like the joke is like he can't keep his hands to himself whenever they go in a tunnel, and he's an Italian guy. And he's always like, excuse me, but yeah. So I thought when you're like he can't keep his hands to himself, it's like what if he's like trying to touch, like Michael Jackson is trying to touch my leg, like I don't know. I thought maybe that would be funny, maybe not. Let me see if I can find the clip in the movie. Yeah, here it is. Ah, shit. I think I. I think I added that 3 there at the end of the hyperlink.
You know, there are a lot of other empty compartments.
Dude, tomorrow's the 4th. You guys have off work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't work. I don't work on tomorrow.
Nice. What about you, Wes?
No, I'm not working. Well, I'm not working at the church tomorrow. However, I'm working for the funeral home.
Well, you know, some idiot might end up shooting a firework down their throat or something. So
Yeah.
that's one reason. Well, that's one reason why I am glad that I don't live where I live anymore, because those assholes were always setting off fireworks and scaring my little dog.
Oh,
Yeah, fuckers. I have to work tomorrow until noon, but hopefully it will not be busy. Unfortunately, our shippers are also we're like everything. Produce doesn't really stop, so
yeah.
I got to work a little bit, but not too much. So if I work on the holiday tomorrow, though, I get to bank a full day of PTO, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, that is pretty sweet. So
I got a text that was like, "Hey, does anybody want to come in from 4 a.m. to 1 a.m. tomorrow?"
4 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Yes.
Like 21 hours of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Like,
Well, I thought I was reading it wrong.
They were
reading it.
I mean, I thought it was going to be like 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. Like, okay. I used to do that all the time in my 20s, yeah. But no, that's a big fuck no for me there, bud. That sounds like the absolute worst. Like,
Yeah, because everybody took off. They're like, "Hey, does anybody want to come in from 4 a.m. to 1 a.m.?"
they should just close. Just close, bro. It's okay. The economy will survive.
It's not okay.
Oh no, we can't have 1 day of lost productivity.
Yep.
We can't have a single day of lost productivity.
Well, hey, wish me luck. I'm gonna try to 10 out of 10 WoW on with Dungeon Alchemist, because I know it's exactly what she's not been looking for, but it's everything that I hoped it could be. So,
Dude, if you want to,
just set me on the path.
all right. Well, if you want, sometime let me know and I'll show you some cool shit that I have been working on in Dungeon Alchemist. I've had it. I think I have had it since early access, because the problem with being in some of the D&D subreddits is like, check out this new map program, guys. Don't you think this is cool? It just launched in early access. And I'm like, it is fucking cool.
Guess what? There's a Steam summer sale and it's $35.
There you go, dude. Honestly, it's worth $35. It's worth it. I would grab it while it's on sale. It won't go on sale again until December.
It also costs $35 plus the graphics card.
But think about it this way: if you purchase it now, it's on your Steam account forever. So inevitably, when you get a computer, I know, but when you get a computer that can run it with a graphics card, you already own it. It's yours forever, So, and you're supporting a very, very small studio that made it, and it's awesome. It's, in my opinion.
Guess I'll have to get it.
Well, I'm just saying. Don't start talking about it and be like, don't talk about it to me.
I guess we'll get it. Both I heard Dwarf Fortress is on Steam too, so maybe we'll look at that too. All right, guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off. Fun times and
All right, bro. Yeah,
good
thanks
4th
for
of
coming.
July.
Hey,
Yeah, you too. Happy 4th, buddy.
Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, before you go, do you have any idea what we're planning on doing tomorrow?
Here, yeah. We are. I was kind of texting with. Oh, okay. You're not in this chat with me and Mom and Arna. So here's what I'm thinking.